Tonight, managing after a massacre.
You can't be comfortable or confident in America anymore.
Sabotaging Obamacare. And
HAARP can control minds.
Absolutely.
At least 42 of the 47 Turkish soldiers on trial over the failed 2016 coup were found guilty today of trying to kill President Recep Erdogan. Most of the men received life sentences, the harshest punishment allowed. The court is yet to hand down a verdict for Fethullah Gulen, the US-based Muslim cleric who Erdogan is blamed for orchestrating the coup. Gulen was tried in absentia and is denied involvement in the attempted overthrow. The European Union is going after American tech companies and their tax deals with individual member countries. Today, the EU ordered Amazon to pay about $294 million in back taxes to Luxembourg, which regulators said had given the online retailer unfair tax benefits. The Competition Commissioner also announced that she'll take Ireland to court for not collecting billions in taxes from Apple.
Ireland has still not recovered any money, not even in part.
Both Ireland and Apple have appealed that decision. British Prime Minister Theresa May had a tough go during a speech meant to re-energize her struggling leadership of the Tory party, which lost its majority in Parliament this spring. For starters, she got pranked when an audience member handed her a form used to fire people in the UK. Then, a prolonged coughing fit cut into her remarks about renewing the British dream.
We've created record numbers of jobs.
The final indignity came when the letters started dropping from a sign behind her that declared, "Building a country that works for everyone." A woman dressed as Monopoly's iconic Rich Uncle Pennybags crashed a Senate hearing where Equifax's ex-CEO Richard Smith was testifying. Senators battered Smith over the credit bureau's handling of a breach that affected more than 140 million Americans. The woman, outfitted with a black top hat, white mustache, and the requisite monocle, said she wanted to call attention to Equifax's, quote, get-out-of-jail-free card, referring to its forced arbitration clause that prohibits customers from suing. At a rare, unscheduled press conference, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson reaffirmed his commitment to the Trump administration. But Tillerson did not contest reports that he called the president a, quote, moron after a meeting in July.
I'm not going to deal with petty stuff like that. I mean, this is what I don't understand about Washington. Again, I'm not from this place, but the places I come from, we don't deal with that kind of petty nonsense.
President Trump touched down in Las Vegas today, where he visited with survivors of Sunday's mass shooting that killed 58 people. But when he took questions at University Medical Center, he refused to say anything about the larger problem of gun violence.
President, does America have a gun violence problem?
We're not going to talk about that today. We won't talk about that.
Trump also met with first responders and praised the Las Vegas Police Department.
Every hero saved so many lives. And believe me, a grateful nation thanks you.
Close to 500 people suffered injuries in the massacre at the Route 91 Harvest Festival, where concertgoers were simply taking part in the ordinary rhythms of a city that thrives after dark. But as Vegas recovers, it's been unusually quiet at night. Vice News followed one Lyft driver during her nighttime shift to see how things have changed.
The streets are kind of empty. I mean, there's not as many cars out as there usually is, and nor as many pedestrians nowhere near at all. So we'll see what the night has in store. It's just getting started.
It's insane. Like, I've been here so many times and I've never seen it this dead.
No.
We are to the point now where we are always looking over our shoulder. Mm-hmm. Are we safe? Are we okay? Like, you can't be comfortable or confident in America anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. And right now it's about 2 a.m. There it is. But that was about maybe 10 minutes in between rides, and that's not usual. That's not common at all.
Still kind of just reacting and taking it all in.
when you're farther away from it, kind of at home, and your mind is busy, but the moment you have a second to sit down and think about it, it's there.
Hello.
Hi.
I was at home. I heard the concert, and then I heard the shots, but I thought it was fireworks because then I heard the music stop, so I figured that
Like it was over.
Yeah, I thought that was like the grand finale, and then I heard sirens for like an hour straight.
What did you think when they said shooting, though? Like, was it more of a casual, like, oh, there's a shooting, or
yeah, I mean,
did you know what it was?
I think of Vegas as the Wild Wild West. It's not like I haven't seen gun violence, because I've seen plenty of it, but just not this type of violence where it's just random shooting.
It's been an hour since I picked my last guy up and took him to the airport. I think I'm probably going to wrap it up. It's been a very quiet night. It doesn't really feel like that Vegas life, that livelihood that we have and people bring with them here. Over time, I think, we'll be able to restore ourselves and everyone will still be able to come out here and have a good time. But of course, it's always going to be in the back of your head and you're going to be a little cautious before you do anything.
This fall will be a big test of the growing theory that the Trump administration is out to scuttle Obamacare. In the past, the Obama administration pulled out all the stops to keep the program afloat.
Are you saying mental health is covered too? Mental health is covered as well.
The Trump team appears to be set to do the opposite.
The Affordable Care Act allows people in most cases to change or buy new insurance plans once a year during the open enrollment period. In 2017, that stretches from November 1st to December 15th. A lot of people in Obamacare plans will be automatically re-enrolled and don't have to do anything. But for the segment of folks who want to change plans or sign up for the first time or whose old plan went away, open enrollment is a really big deal. This will be the first open enrollment period under an administration that's actually hostile to Obamacare. And Trump's team appears to not be interested in letting anybody know that open enrollment's actually happening. During previous open enrollment periods, the federal government spent a lot of money on ads, public events, the works.
I'm paying $76 a month in 2014 for full health coverage and dental.
Inside the Affordable Care Act itself is language that forbids anyone from zeroing out that ad budget. But this administration is cutting it by 90%, from $100 million in 2016 to $10 million this year. Andy Slavitt, who managed the Affordable Care Act under Obama, told us, quote, "If you want to destabilize the markets, this is one of the best things you can do." Here's how Trump's Health and Human Services Department explained the change to us. They said the money Obama spent on ads didn't bring in enough people anyway, so they're spending less. But it's not just ads that the administration's getting rid of. The administration helps fund people called navigators, who help guide other people through the Obamacare enrollment process. In 2016, the Navigator program got $62.5 million in federal grants to enroll 81,426 people in Obamacare. The Trump administration noted that that's less than just 1% of the total number of people who signed up that year. So this year, they're cutting the Navigator budget by 41%. The administration has also banned HHS staff from even participating in Obamacare enrollment events hosted by the states. Even if you know it's time to enroll, it'll still be harder to enroll this time. Trump's HHS is taking down the healthcare.gov website for 12 hours every Sunday during the open enrollment period. The Obama administration also had 12-hour downtime blocks during the last enrollment period. However, the last open enrollment was longer, much longer. It was 12 weeks long. This time, it's only 6. Trump is insistent that Obamacare will collapse no matter what happens. But experts on the law say that Trump is actually working hard to make sure that's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
The
it gives you reason to believe a little again.
Former Vice President Joe Biden flew to Birmingham Tuesday to campaign for Doug Jones, the Democratic candidate for Alabama's open Senate seat. Jones is a long shot in a state that's about as red as it gets. But the Biden visit is a kind of test run to see if national Democrats can, or should, try to flip the odds in the race.
It's like Uncle Joe never left the campaign trail.
You know, I'm always referred to as middle-class Joe, if you notice in the press. Well, they say that in Washington because that's their way of saying I'm not sophisticated.
What brought him back to the podium wasn't a 2020 run, but an underdog candidate in the Deep South, Alabama Democrat Doug Jones.
Doug knows Alabama. He knows your heart, and he'll never let you down.
It's been nearly 30 years since a Democrat won a Senate seat in Alabama, but Jones insists he's confident.
It's not the first time I've heard that something I want to do and that I feel passionate about is a long shot.
Jones is challenging Republican Roy Moore, Alabama's former Chief Justice, who was removed from office twice for ignoring the law. He's pretty polarizing.
Now we got blacks and whites fighting, reds and yellows fighting. What's going to unite us? What's going to bring us back together? A president? A Congress? No. It's going to be God.
And Jones is probably Democrats' best Alabama Senate prospect in years. He's the former U.S. attorney who prosecuted some of the KKK members involved in a church bombing in Birmingham.
Justice delayed is still justice, and we've got it right here in Birmingham.
That makes a pretty strong contrast with Moore.
I truly believe, thanks to so many of you, that this campaign is on the right side of history. We are on the right side of justice. We're on the right side of respect and fairness. And I can tell you, Roy Moore is not on the right side of any of those issues.
A couple of other factors could make this race competitive. For one, it's short. The election is on December 12th, which makes it easier to mobilize supporters. And TV ads are cheap here, if Democrats want to start running them. But Dems have to pick their battles with a limited budget and a lot of seats to defend. And the challenge in Alabama might be that there just aren't enough Jones voters.
If you look even at the runoff versus the Democratic primary, there was something like 480,000 votes in the Republican runoff and 165,000 votes in the Democratic primary. So how do you make those numbers work?
And I think you'll see a better turnout than what you saw in both of the primaries. But still, you really can't compare those two. It wasn't a focused effort. We weren't up on TV. We weren't out, beating the bushes because of money constraints. We let the other side beat up on each other the way they did. And now everybody is focused on this race for December 12th. And I think it's a whole different dynamic.
Jones also has to decide whether he should try to make up ground by nationalizing the race and bringing in more outside Democrats to help.
Would you want somebody like President Obama to come down here and campaign for you?
I think it's a situation where we're going to focus on the Alabama issues. Those issues are going to attract probably any number of people. We also have a limited time down here.
So that wasn't a yes, and I wonder if that's partly because there's a concern by making it too nationalized and by tying yourself to people like Obama who are very controversial down here, it could cause backlash.
We are not going to make this race a national race.
With Biden here, it becomes a national race.
No, it doesn't come back. If you listen to what Joe Biden said, he was not talking about some kind of national issue. He was talking about the very same issues that I've been talking about, the kitchen table issues of people sitting down.
But even Biden let slip that this race is about more than just Alabama.
When he wins this race, it will send ripples throughout the country.
And then he caught himself.
I want to be clear. Don't do it for that reason. Do it for Alabama. Do it for Alabama. Alabama! Do it for Alabama!
Last October, 2 Georgia men were arrested with an arsenal of weapons and a detailed plan to attack HAARP, the high-frequency active auroral research program facility in Gacona, Alaska. They were inspired by widely circulated internet conspiracy theories, suggesting that HAARP can control the weather and our minds.
I mean, we're living in a science fiction movie.
HAARP was created by the Department of Defense in 1992 to study the outer reaches of the Earth's atmosphere. The resulting research advanced deep-sea communications with nuclear submarines and the detection of underground military facilities. But some people think the government has been lying about HAARP's true purpose. Being the focus of endless conspiracy theories has had a profound effect on HAARP employees, who routinely field death threats.
You guys are killing the planet. It's fucking 80 degrees here in Colorado in February. This is bullshit. You guys need to shut that place down, man.
There are people who think all kinds of crazy things about what HAARP can do, and they sometimes call me.
I'm going to drag all of you down. I'm going to murder, rape, dismember, cannibalize. I can't be stopped.
When you hear something like that, what's the sort of plan of action there? And you take that stuff seriously, don't you?
Yeah, sure, we do. I mean, we've blocked phone numbers, but they find other ways to call. Yeah, it's kind of upsetting to get that kind of thing at 5 o'clock in the morning.
No one has done more to propagate the conspiratorial view of HAARP than this man.
Hey guys, how are you?
Begich is the author of Angels Don't Play This HAARP. It's been in print for over 20 years.
Those are all books I've written in different...
How many languages has...
my books are in 10. I made good money on it, and it paid my
Give me
living.
an estimate of how much you made on that book.
Over 20 years, probably $1 million.
You are the J.K. Rowling of mind
I'll
control.
tell you what, if I had wanted to do the opportunity cost to that was quite great, because I could have done a lot of other things during that time.
So break this down for me in a sentence or two that is understandable to somebody who knows nothing about this stuff. HAARP has the capability of controlling minds.
It has the ability of affecting the frequency following response, which is where the brain locks onto an external signal, begins to mirror it, and brain chemistry changes.
So even simpler than that is HAARP can control minds.
Absolutely can control in the sense of changing mental function.
Do we have any evidence that HAARP or any other government agency is actively right now trying to change the way people think?
Yes, I think we do.
You think we do, or you know we do?
I know we do. This technology is possible with this instrument, and the only question is, have they done it?
But you don't know that they have.
No, couldn't answer that, never have. Can they? Yes. Would they? Yes. What do I know about government? I know government, when they have the capability, they'll utilize it, and they have utilized this technology in a lot of other areas.
Begich's skepticism of government can be traced to his childhood.
My dad was a state senator and then later a U.S. congressman. He was actively campaigning, and this is just before Watergate. They were flying from Anchorage to Juneau on a campaign trip, small plane, and it disappeared off the radar screen. And it was the largest search in the history of the United States up to that time, and nothing was ever officially recovered. It fundamentally changed me in a way that probably nothing else could have. In fact, I consider it the most positive event in my life. The biggest thing my dad ever did for me was
to disappear.
Was to disappear.
So you think there was some sort of foul play?
Absolutely was.
According to lots of people on the internet, these antennas that are surrounding me are controlling my mind, controlling the weather, and can set the Earth's atmosphere on fire. It's also said that you can't get in here because it's a super secret Air Force facility. We made a phone call, we asked to come, and they let us in. I just keep reading so much of it's top secret. It's all classified. Is that true?
Actually, nothing's top secret. Nothing is classified.
When switched on, HAARP can temporarily heat up and alter a small area of the ionosphere, the uppermost point of the Earth's atmosphere. The resulting research has aided scientific understanding of radio communication, GPS functionality, and weather patterns.
It's always been like this. There's never been any top secret research. It's all basic research, basic physics, trying to understand how the ionosphere works.
The things that I have heard that HAARP can do, tell me if it's true, control the weather.
No.
modify the weather?
No.
Control people's brains?
Never.
Chemtrails?
Never.
You can't kill a human?
No.
Can you kill a bird?
No.
Can you make a moose walk backwards?
Nope.
And no aliens?
Not that I know of.
In an attempt to beat back the wave of conspiracists, HAARP periodically opens its doors to the public. We invited Nick Begich to visit HAARP with us. He declined.
Have you ever been up to HAARP?
Yes, I've been.
Have you been inside?
I've not been in the facility, no.
They're having an open house today.
Yeah, they have them every couple of years.
How come you didn't go?
What am I going to see?
See, the thing that's strange to me is you're not going to lose knowledge if you go into the HAARP facility. You might not gain anything, but isn't it of interest? You're so damn close to it.
There's nothing there that I need to see. It's in their technical specifications on what they built, and the rest is, what is it?
Alex Jones talks to the president. President Trump mentioned during the campaign the JFK assassination conspiracy. Are we in a moment where conspiracy theorists are being heard more than they were in the past?
I would say contrarians are being heard more than they have ever been heard in the past, and I would not say conspiracy theorists. I would say the establishment is not being heard in the same way they were, because they own both parties. And the truth is, the American character that you and I feel we're supposed to represent is not represented in our government anymore. And that's why the Donald Trumps are rising. That's why people who don't fit the norm are rising, because people are sick and tired of being fed like mushrooms, something that other people call fertilizer, and we don't call that anymore. You know?
That's Vice News Tonight for Wednesday, October 4th.